Children, we had already one period in the morning. We were discussing about the different parts of the flower. We learned about andrecium, gynoecium, the parts of these different worlds, and we even learned about the classification of andrecium and gynoecium. And we learned that stamens or andrecium can be categorized or classified on the basis of different criteria. One was based on whether they are attached to other floral parts. So on the basis of that, we can classify it into epipetalous and epiphyllous. And then we learned about synandrous and polyandrous stamens. And under synandrous, we subdivided it further into monadelphous, diadelphous, and polydelphous, isn't it? And then about gynoecium, the different parts we learned, style, stigma, ovary, ovules, and we also learned about apocarpus and syncarpus pistils. Are you remembering? Are you remembering what we covered? And we started with the different ways, the different methods of placentation, or how the ovules are arranged in the ovary. So you know that inside the ovary, ovules are present. Am I audible? Am your
No,
voice?
ma'am. Ma'am, your
Am
voice
I
is not
audible?
clear.
Anybody saying? Are you responding or
No, ma'am, you're not on.
children? You can hear me or not?
No.
There is like a
But I
disturbance.
can't hear you.
I was just summarizing what we learned in the previous class. We learned about placentation, and placentation means arrangement of ovules in the ovary. And inside the ovary, ovules are arranged on special cushion-like structure. You call it as placenta. And we just learned the different types of placentation. So before I proceed, tell me what is the difference between epipetalous and epiphyllous stamen. We learned it in previous period. And Nevin, I want you to say the answer. What is the difference between, you're better now? Your health is better?
Not actually, but something like my eyes are like really dry.
Okay, you close your eyes and say the answer now. What is the difference between epipetalous and epiphyllous stamens?
Epipetalous, the petals are attached to the thing. I slept after the class, okay, ma'am.
Oh,
I slept after the class. I did not even
no
open.
problem. If by the time we sleep, if whatever we have learned, if you're forgetting, then we can't sleep. In our
Not-
life, we can't sleep, especially board children. They will have to remain awake till the board exam. Huh? Why? There is a reason why I'm asking you the question. I don't know whether you're remembering that. What happened in the previous period? I think some serious dementia or something is troubling you. What? Last period we had a question and answer session. You got the same question. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, but I forgot the answer.
Then what is the point in asking child? Punya, just tell the answer. And Nevin, I want you to repeat it again.
In epipetalous, the stamens are attached to the petals, and in epiphyllous, it is attached to the what is it called? The stamens and the sepals are attached by
My God.
perianth.
Okay. Yes, Nevin, repeat.
Ma'am, the
Don't
stamen
give
is
me
attached.
heart attacks, children. My heart is
Ma'am, the
very weak.
stamen is attached to the epipetals, right? That the stamen is attached to the petal, and the epiphyllum filament.
Phyllis.
Yeah. I don't know
Epiphyllis.
why am I forgetting this, ma'am? But
That is what I said. Some serious problem is going on. And if you are
ma'am, I think the
Nevin,
reason.
listen, if you're preoccupied with some other things also, this can happen.
Not preoccupied. I'm like trying to know the previous points because like there are like a lot of terms. I'm trying to understand that one. By the time I'm
Oh,
learning.
maybe because when I'm teaching, you're trying to recollect what I taught earlier.
Yeah. So when you're asking, I'll be like, yeah, I know that.
I believed. Now you say what is epiphyllis. Don't waste time, Nevin. Make it fast. What is meant by epiphyllis? Otherwise, Rijaz will get a chance. If you want to save him, better you say the answer.
This can take the chance, ma'am.
But I will make you say only, then I'll proceed. Epiphyllis?
say one more time. Just say epiphyllus and epipetal. I get the
The
epipetal.
punishment is for you or for me?
No, just say
Epipetalous means stamens attached to petals. Epiphyllus, stamens are attached to perianth. Yes? You punished me. Now you say the answer.
I didn't punish you, ma'am.
You make me repeat, again and again. I don't mind, provided you are making use of it. I don't mind repeating. But it should not be for namesake.
No, epiphyllus is the attachment between stamen and peria. Then epipet. I'm not getting that thing right.
Epipetalous, petal,
Yeah, okay.
epipetalous.
Yeah. The petals are attached to the stamen. Am I
You're
right?
saying about stamen. So who should be given importance?
The stamens.
Stamens are attached to?
The petal.
Yes. It's about the classification of stamens. So you have to focus on that. Okay. Now let us continue with placentation. So already I told you what is meant by placentation. Placentation means it's the arrangement of ovules inside the ovary. As such, inside the ovary, ovules are arranged, and once fertilization is completed, ovary becomes fruit, ovule becomes a seed. And the number of ovules present in the ovary can also keep changing depending upon the type of plant. It can be 1 to many ovules. And ovules inside the ovary, they have a special cushion-like structure where these are arranged, cushion like placenta. Placenta is the cushion like structure where the ovules remain attached inside the ovary. Okay, now already you saw the different types, but we didn't see the explanation. Marginal placentation, axile placentation, parietal placentation, free central, and basal. So these are the different types of placentation. You will see it again. Marginal, the first one is marginal, axile, parietal, free central, and basal. All these are very important. It can be asked for a essay type, 3 marks question, the classification of flower based on the position of the sex organs, then the different types of placentation, aestivation. All these are very, very important topics. And I'll repeat once again. The first one is marginal placentation. Next one is axile. Third one parietal, free central, and next is basal. Basal, free central, parietal, axile, and marginal placentation. So one by one you are going to learn about different types of placentation. What is placentation? Arrangement of ovules within the ovary. How the ovules are arranged inside the ovary. That arrangement is known as placentation. We'll start with the first one, marginal. Always try to relate with the term and make some code so that since you are learning so many new terms, there are chances that you get confused. I keep on saying this every class. Make your own tricks and tips to remember it clearly. Otherwise, when all these come at a stretch towards the end, when you have to write exam based on all these chapters, then it will be difficult. So see that you make some tips, your own tips and tricks, so that you can recollect it easily. And one more thing, children, whenever you learn some difficult terms, confusing terms, there is no point in blaming. Anyway, you have opted for bio. So what you have to do is you have to try out some ways by means of which you can remember it. And repeated learning will reinforce, will strengthen your memory. We all have, the memory skills are not the same. Some have short term, some have long term memory. So understand what is your, where do you stand, and develop some techniques by means of which you can reinforce, strengthen your memory. Repeatedly, keep on learning it repeatedly. Okay, so just by learning once, don't think that I have learned everything. So after 1 or 2 days, try to recollect. Or when I teach a new topic, as Nevin already said, when you're learning a new topic, Think whether, recollect what was in the last class. Am I able to recollect it again? And if not, just turn the page and find it out. So that is also a method of reinforcing, recollecting, trying to recollect again. That will help you to strengthen your memory. Now, marginal placentation. In marginal placentation, the placenta is forming a ridge. You can find the placenta will be forming a ridge, and they'll be forming a ridge like thing, and it will be on this ridge that ovules are arranged. The placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture or the ventral division or opening of the ovary, and the ovules are arranged on this ridge, forming two rows. You can see two rows of that. This is known as the central. You can see a ventral suture, the ventral opening, and on either side you can find they are arranged in two rows. Once again, marginal placentation. Placenta is forming a ridge along the ventral suture. You can see the figure, third figure. You can see the ventral suture and the ridge lying close to that, and attached to the ridges you can find the placenta is forming a ridge, and attached to this ridge you can see ovules arranged in two rows. They are arranged in two rows. So such a type of placentation, you call it as marginal. One typical example for that is pea. In pea plant or in pea fruit, you can find marginal placentation. Once again, in marginal placentation, placenta will form a ridge along the ventral opening or ventral suture, and you can find ovules are attached to this ridge and they form in two rows. Ovules are arranged on this placenta in two rows, and placenta is in the form of a ridge. Is it clear? Shall I proceed to the next one? If it
Yes.
is not clear, I'll repeat again. Clear? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Because by the time you learn the next one, you should not forget this. Next one is axile placentation. Axile placentation. When the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, you call that placentation as axile placentation. Examples are China rose, hibiscus, tomato, lemon. In all these you can find the placenta is axial. You can see a central axis, isn't it? And around the central axis, you can see it's a multilocular ovary. Multilocular means several locules, several chambers. Just 1 minute. Here you can find different chambers. It's a multilocular. Ovary is not having a single chamber. Instead, it is having several chambers. And the placenta is axial. So, attached to the central axis, you can find the placenta. And ovules are arranged on that placenta. So, those are the ovules, and center you can see the placenta. So here the placenta is axial, attached to the central axis, and the ovules are arranged with in a multilocular ovary. Ovary is having several chambers, and such a placentation is said to be axial. And China rose, tomato, lemon, in all these you can find axial placentation. So in marginal placentation, what did we learn? In marginal placentation, placenta will be forming a ridge along the ventral suture or ventral opening, and ovules are arranged, are attached to that ridge in two rows. That was about marginal placentation. Whereas in axial placentation, placenta is not on the side or near the or not forming any ridge. Instead, it is axial, arranged around the central axis, and attached to that you can find ovules, and here the ovary is multilocular. Several chambers are there, several locule or several chambers are there for the ovary. Such a placentation is axial placentation. Lemon, tomato, China rose, all these are examples where you can find axile placentation. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now moving on to the next one, parietal placentation. And in parietal placentation, the ovules are developed, they are found on the inner wall of the ovary or on the periphery. Periphery means a boundary. Just see the figure. You can see the ovary having two walls, outer wall, inner wall. And attached to the inner wall, you can find ovules and bulged structures. You can see some protrusions, like those are the ovules. Some projections you can find that shows the ovules. So here in parietal, so remember parietal periphery. So arranged on the periphery or the peripheral wall of the ovary, you can find ovules. And here the ovary is single chambered. It is single chambered, but later it might become two chambered by the formation of a false septum. Septum is a partition, a division. So it's not a real septum. Sometimes in the beginning it will be a unilocular ovary or single chambered, but later it might become multilocular or two chambered by the formation of a false separation, a false septum. And examples, mustard and argemone. These two are examples for parietal placentation. I'll repeat once again. In parietal placentation, remember the term parietal, marginal. So ridge on the side, ridge on the margin. Like that you can relate. Axile. So placenta is along the around the axis. And here in parietal placentation, periphery, attached to the peripheral wall of the ovary, you can find ovules. And here normally, as you can see in the picture, ovary is single chambered, but it might become two chambered by the formation of false septum. Mustard and argemone are the examples. And moving on to the next one, free central placentation. As you can see in the figure, it is there, the placenta is in the center and ovules are attached to it. Ovules are born on the central axis, and here no septum. It might resemble axile placentation, but in axile placentation there were different chambers. It was having multilocular ovary. Here septa or no division, separations are not there, or the ovary is not divided into any chambers, and the ovules are attached to the central axis, and you call it as free central. Septa is not there and it is attached to the center. Ovules are attached to the center and you call it as free central placentation. Example, dianthus and primrose. Dianthus, I think it's a very common flowering plant. The petals look like pencil carvings. Maybe you're familiar with that. So in dianthus and primrose, you can find free central placentation. And moving on to the last and final type, basal placentation. In basal placentation, base, here the placenta is attached to the basal part of the ovary, and here in your textbook it is mentioned a single ovule is attached. It is not fixed that only single ovule. So it can be single to a few ovules depending upon the plant, but in the textbook it is mentioned single ovule. So placenta, basal placentation, at the base of the ovary. Placenta is attached to the or present at the base of the ovary, and a single ovule is present. Sunflower and marigold. Marigold and sunflower both you are familiar, and these two are the flowers where you can, or these two are the plants where you can find what placentation? Basal placentation. So with that, we have completed 5 types of placentation. First one was marginal. So margin, ridge. So relate like that, margin, ridge. And the second one was axile. So in axile, it was attached around the central axis, but septa were there. Then, which was the third one? Free central. Which one? Parietal placentation. So in parietal, in parietal placentation, what did we learn? In parietal placentation, I asked you to remember parietal, periphery, marginal, ridge, axile, the central axis, Then parietal periphery of the ovary. Periphery means the boundary. Then next one was
Free central.
free central. So it is attached to the central axis, but here, unlike the other one what we discussed, axile, here no separations. Multilocular ovary is not present. And then we learned about the last one, basal, attached to the basal part of the ovary. So those terms will help you to develop and then say the answer. Marginal ridge, parietal periphery, axile central axis, then basal, base part of the base of the ovary or basal region of the ovary, free central at the center. Without free it is written, so no septa, it's free and at the center. Okay, some tips to remember. You can make your own tips or some mnemonics to remember, but I think this will help you. You can build on that. Okay, once again we will see. Yes, Nevin?
Can you just show the free central part?
Oh, everything we will see once again. I know it's a little confusing for you. We'll start with the first one.
It's like going too fast.
Maybe. I thought I'll repeat it. Okay. So try to learn along with me. As I'm explaining, you try to learn. So as much as is covered, well and good, so that your work will be less when you sit back to revise it. Okay. Try to learn. If you fully concentrate, I can help you. Otherwise, you are physically present here and not even physically, I can say virtually present. A video can be seen, but you are mentally not attending means I cannot help you. So try to learn along with me so that I can make your work easier. So we were learning about placentation. Placentation means arrangement of ovules within the ovary. There are 5 types of placentation. You want to see that slide, the 5 types? These are the 5 types: marginal, axile, parietal, free central, basal. Marginal, which term you will remember?
The ridges.
Wait. Just. Okay. Marginal, you can remember the term ridge. Axile, axis. But septa or separations are there. Parietal, periphery, free central, center, but no septa. It's free. So no septum. Basal, base of the ovary. Okay. So these are the different types. So once again, we'll start with the next slide. Marginal. We are going to repeat it again. Marginal. In marginal placentation, placenta will be forming a ridge along the ventral suture, and ovules will be arranged in 2 rows attached to this ridge. Examples: P. Okay. Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next one. Axile. Here placenta is axial and ovules are attached around the that central axis. Here we can see a multilocular ovary. Multilocular ovary means ovary with several chambers. So placenta is axial, and attached to this axial placenta you can find ovules, but in a multilocular ovary. Examples: China rose, tomato, lemon. Then third one is parietal. I told you to remember the term periphery. So here you can find ovules are attached to the peripheral wall of the ovary or to the inner wall of the ovary. Okay, either inner wall or peripheral part of the ovary, near the boundary, near the periphery. And ovary here will be, then once you remember it is on the periphery, that picture will come to your mind. So there are no chambers, only one chamber, and sometimes it can become 2 chambered by the formation of a false septum, mustard and argemone. And then we learned about free central. So from the term free, you can recollect, you can remember, relate, there are no septa. The ovules are arranged on the central axis and septa are absent. Such a placentation is free central, dianthus and primrose. And the last one is basal placentation. Here the placenta, where can you find it being formed? It will be at the base of the ovary and ovules will be attached to it. Sunflower and marigold. Is that clear, children?
Now clear, ma'am.
Clear? Will you be able to recollect?
Yes.
Yes. Now I am not asking. We'll proceed to the next topic, and in between, I think immediately if I ask, oh, you want me to ask now? Okay, let's see. One of you, one among you who is absent. 21 should be there. Who is absent? Any idea who is absent? Michael? Michael, are you there? I think Michael is there.
Steffi.
Steffi. Okay, Steffi is absent. Okay, children. Adona, you were present from the beginning, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Which are the different, tell me what is meant by placentation.
The arrangement of ovules within the ovary.
Good. And which are the 5 types? Name the 5 types of placentation. Sharon.
Marginal, axile, free central, basal,
One more.
starting
with P.
parietal.
Okay. Okay. Now, what is meant by free central placentation? Nandana, free central.
Ovules are on the central axis and there is no septa.
Okay, good. Then basal placentation, Malavika?
Placenta develops at the base of the ovary.
And?
Single ovule is attached.
Usually single ovule is attached to that. But it can be single to a few ovules, but in your textbook it is mentioned single ovule. Okay, single to many. Punya, so we have covered free central and basal. You tell me about parietal placentation.
They are arranged, the ovules are arranged across the peripheral wall, along the peripheral wall.
Or on the
inner walls.
Inner wall or on the peripheral wall. Okay. And what is meant by axile placentation, Naureen?
When the placenta is axial and ovules are attached to it in multilocular ovary.
Yes, good. One more we have missed out.
Marginal.
Marginal. Nevin, yes, you can tell what is marginal placentation.
Marginal placentation, like it forms on the ridges, both ridges, the ovules.
And ovules will be attached to?
The both ridges.
You told placenta forms a ridge. And where are the ovules present?
On the ridge.
Attached to the ridge, and they form 2 rows. Okay. So we'll proceed to the next topic. Now next we are going to learn about semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. Semi-technical description of a flowering plant, how the different parts of the plant are described and how they are represented in the form of symbols. A plant you can describe like the different parts. So as such a flower, there are different families. In botany or in plant kingdom, there are different families. So each family, the flowers belonging to each family will have certain specific or unique features. So a plant is described briefly in simple and scientific language and in a proper sequence, starting with its habit, where it is found, the different vegetative characters, roots. Vegetative characters means root, stem, leaves, etc. Whereas reproductive characters, it includes the features of the flowers. And then the floral characters, inflorescence, and the parts of the flowers. So all these, this is how we describe a plant belonging to a particular family. In your textbook, I think 3 families are stated, and all their about their habit, economic importance, their floral characters, vegetative characters, all these are mentioned. But this year, you need to learn only one family and their characteristic features. CBSE, they deleted the other 2 for this year. Okay. So a plant family or a plant is described in simple scientific language in proper sequence. So that description will be in a proper sequence, means we start from the habit, then we list out the vegetative characters, then we proceed to the floral characters or characters of the inflorescence or the parts of the flower. And after describing the different parts of the plant, we represent a floral diagram depicting the features of the flower. We present a floral diagram and a floral formula. So that is how you describe a typical flowering plant in a semi-technical way. First, what we do is we a particular flowering plants habit, where it is found, usually in which habitats, or what is its normal habitat is the place where they are found. Habit means the general features. The general features, then about their vegetative characters, like characters of the root, stem, leaves, etc. Then the floral characters, all these, even the economic importance, all that will be listed. And after that, we present a floral diagram of a typical flower belonging to that particular plant, and also we represent it in the form of a floral formula. So you need to learn the floral diagram, floral formula, the vegetative characters and the floral characters of one family. 3 o'clock is the bell. Means is the time for us.
3. Now it's past 3.
3:14.
What is the time now?
Now it's 3:40.
3:30.
Oh, okay, 3:40 is our time. Okay, it's already time for us.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, we started at 3 now. Okay. So then we'll wind up. We'll learn more about floral diagram and all in our next class. Okay. So once again, I'll repeat the same point. A plant, the main heading was semi-technical description of a flowering plant. A plant can be described in a simple scientific language in a proper sequence, and we represent its habit, vegetative characters and the floral characters. And after describing all these characters, we present a floral diagram and floral formula. So more about that you will be learning in our next class. Okay. Thank you, children.
Thank you.